Previously on Gains Poker.
At the end of the day, I did lose money, so that put a damper in the 10K challenge for this week, so that sucks. That really sucks, to be honest. I mean, I should have hit my 10K today, but I didn't. So again, maybe I'm the worst poker player around on YouTube. I don't know.
I gotta be honest with you guys. After that insane session of practically bingo, I got back to the room at 7. Sun was already up, and I slept. And slept some more. I was like a rock. I was out. I had no brain power left to play another session that day. Played 30 hours the last 5 days, so definitely needed a break. I was in so much need of a chill day, so all I did was relax, laid by the pool, worked out, still, of course. And some of you guys have said to me, you still work out when you're on trips? I'm like, yeah, of course. It's something that I just love to do. Every workout doesn't have to be full go, 100%, putting 500 pounds on my back, sitting to the floor, standing back up. Sometimes it's just going through the motions depending on how you feel that day. But I always encourage people to do something physically active, going for a walk, riding a bike, playing basketball with some friends, anything, just move your body. Because you never know, one day you might not be able to. I'm sure you see people out all the time in wheelchairs or can tell they have a disability of some sort. And I bet they'd give anything to trade places with you to do something as simple as going for a walk. So be grateful that you're able to do those things and take advantage. But that's enough of the motivational trainer side of me. Let's get into what you clicked on this video for, some poker action.
It's been a really long week here, but we're here for one more day. Have about 3 or 4 hours before our flight, and the numbers will be over here somewhere. But yeah, we're still trying to get that 10K challenge. It's gonna be a stretch, but again, I'm being real with you guys. I'm giving you guys what's happening, taking you along for the journey. So let's see what happens back at the Aria, where it all started on day 1, where we had that big plus 3K win. So let's see if we can make that happen again. Wish us luck. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna get into the mix and let's go.
We start the session off a little past noon, sit down with the max 1500 at the 2-5, and we get involved less than an orbit in. We're in the small blind. There's one limper and the under the gun 1. It folds around to us, and we look down at Jack 7 suited. We leave our $5 in there, and the big blind checks his option, so 3 ways to a flop, and it comes ace, queen, 8, 2 clubs. We don't have a pair, but still not a bad board. We check and flow, the big blind checks as well, and the under the gun 1 limper takes it upon himself and bets, and he actually bets pretty big. He throws out $25. The betting out part was fine, but the size was not expected. Was probably going to put in a check raise if he made it pot size, $15, but the overbet made me think twice. So we just make the call, the big blind gets out of the way, so now we're heads up, and the turn comes, 8 of spades, pairing the board. A card where we can probably lead some percentage of the time, but again, the bigger bet on the flop. Let's just check to him to see what he wants to do. And he slows down and checks back, so hoping to improve, and we do. The river is a club, it's a 5 of clubs. So kind of poker 101 here, check until you hit something. So we bet out and throw out $65. He asked the dealer to confirm $65, and he does make the call pretty quickly, asking us if we have an ace. I say no and show. If an ace was good, our flush was crushing, and we do take it down. Maybe we got the max if an ace was beating him. Always nice to start off a session with a win. Helps with the good vibes and the momentum. A few hands in between this one. Nothing too crazy to report. Just small pre-flop raises, small c-bets that get the job done. Such a slow table thus far. Nit happy, really. This hand is worth mentioning, explaining what I'm talking about. We're in the hijack. It folds around to us, and we look down at 6-8 of hearts. We open things up to $15. The cutoff and button fold. The small blind calls and big blind mucks. So we're heads up to a flop. And it comes 8-7-7 rainbow. A pretty safe board, and we have top pair. The small blind checks to us, or at least I think he checked. He was a player that liked to check dark, but I guess he didn't this time. He does still check, and we make a continuation bet and throw out $15. He snap calls. The turn comes, an undercard, it's a 3 of clubs, brings in the backdoor flush draw, but a safe card. He checks to us again, and gonna protect from overcards, so we continue and make it $25 this time. He basically snap calls once again. I figured he'd raise if he had a 7, so I feel confident we have the best hand. The river is a 3 of spades. He checks, and we can either check back and just take our hand to showdown, but I think we can go for another street of value here with this run out. If he has ace high, he's not going to want to fold, because in his eyes, to forfeit a chop. So we bet again and throw out 2 green chips. He calls right away, and I say I have an 8, and he flips over his hand, and he has pocket queens. Wow, very interesting of a hand. No 3-bet in the small blind, so maybe we lost the minimum. Hard to say. If he did 3-bet, we defend. He c-bets the flop and can't really go anywhere to 1 c-bet. So, I don't know, a lot of what ifs, but he wins with his overpair. This next hand though, we get an actual premium. We have ace king offsuit on the low jack. It folds to us. We open things up to $15. The guy to our direct left, who was an older Asian man, 3-bets to 85. And I'm thinking to myself, dang, that's a pretty large 3-bet. Normal size of a 3-bet is 3x to 45, 50, even if it's a little bigger, like 60 or 65. But no, he goes bigger to 85. And sometimes players do this with not the strongest of holdings, like jacks, not really knowing how to play them, or even queens, protecting from any overcards. It folds around back to us, and with all that going through my head, we make the call, see what develops, because I feel like I have an advantage post-flop against this player, and the flop does come, king, jack, 10, rainbow. I'm really liking this board, to be honest. When I first saw it, it's good flopping top pair, but if he did happen to have queens, he's going to be in a bad spot, and the rare chance he's just a straight OMC who only plays aces, he can't feel 100% confident with this board. We check and flow to him, and he does throw out a c-bet, throws out $100, and I debate whether to raise or just make the call. I think there's merit in both options, because we can definitely represent straights or bottom set, middle set, because he shouldn't have those, and we're blocking top set with ace king. But we just take the conservative route and make the call. The turn comes, a 5 of clubs, bringing the backdoor flush draw. We check and flow again to him, see what he wants to do, and depending what he does, that's really gonna tell us a lot about his hand. When we check, right away he snap checks it back, so now he probably doesn't have a set, either has aces or queens, just based on the player type. Those are the only 2 hands he could have. So when the river comes off, a 6 of clubs, another card that will put either of those hands in a tough spot, it's time to fire, and we have the ace of clubs, so it's another hand that we could definitely represent. There's $375 in the middle, so we go an in-between value bluff size. Not crazy big where it looks bluffy, but not too small either where it's an easy call. So we bet and throw out $210. He snap calls, and as soon as his chips hit the felt, we know.
Your aces are good.
I think it was a mistake not going big enough, but true OMCs and amateur players don't like folding aces, so hard to say if a bigger bet would have worked, because he didn't even think about it. It felt like he had his mind made up that he was calling any size bet. Exactly 1 orbit goes by, and we pick up another premium. We get a pair this time, queens and the low jack. We open things up to $15 when it folds to us. The guy from the last hand calls 15. The cutoff calls. The button basically says, I guess everyone's doing it. He calls. The small blind folds, and the big blind, getting a million to 1, calls $10 more. So we go 5 ways to a flop, hoping for a miracle. And the flop comes 4-4 king rainbow. Wow, there is no way I'm winning this hand 5 ways. The big blind checks, we check. The next act, the old Asian man to our left bets out $80 or $85, and one by one, everyone just folds, and he shows a king. Shocker. I mean, it's bad enough going 5 ways to a flop with queens, but when the flop comes an overcard to your pair, I mean, that's just an L. We don't have a lot of time left to play, and we're down money, so let's straddle things up. We put the under the gun straddle on for $10. Middle position folds. The hijack puts in $5. He didn't see the straddle apparently, but the dealer corrects him, so he calls. The cutoff gets out of the way. Action on the button, who raises to $40. The blinds fold, and we're next to act and look down at ace 10 offsuit. I'd much rather them be suited to put in a 3-bet, but definitely a good enough hand to defend, so we do. And the limper comes along as well, so 3 ways to a flop, and it comes queen 8-3 rainbow. We check in flow first to act, as does the hijack, onto the button now, who puts in a c-bet to $35. Us having nothing, probably should just fold this, right? I have that clicking time clock in my head, so let's get freaky with this one. We put in a raise, basically a min click to $75. The hijack folds, and apparently it was a c-bet to $40, not $35, so had to make it a minimum of $80. Didn't really matter, to be honest. It's basically the same and doing the same thing of what we're trying to accomplish, which is to take control of the hand and put one pair on notice. Cause a queen 8-2 rainbow board, a board that hits us more just calling in the straddle, pocket 2s, pocket 8s, queen 8. So not really expecting to take it down right here, right now, but building the pot for future streets. He obviously makes a call for $40 more. Again, didn't really expect him to go anywhere. So heads up now to a turn, and it helps us and is a good card for our range. Is a 9 of spades. So we now have a gutter and can definitely represent more combinations with this card. We're first to act and we're not going to slow down now. So we throw out another bet to $135. He thinks about it for about 15 seconds and makes a call. So definitely a pot brewing. Not really sure what river we want to see, but regardless, the plan is to overbet jam for our remaining $740. The dealer burns and we go runner straight with the jack of hearts peeling off on the river. Wow, now it's not going to be a bluff, it's going to be for value. And I think we got to go for the max to target sets or 2 pairs. He might have seen that aces versus ace-king hand, so maybe he thinks I'm still on tilt. So we jam over the size of the pot. After we announce all in, we don't get snap called, so we know we're winning the hand, because king 10 is the only hand beating us. And bless his heart if he's calling down with king 10 offsuit. So now just praying for a call. He doesn't snap fold either, so he has something, just hope it's enough to even make a crying call. He tanks for about 45 seconds, looks back at his cards, then returns them back to the dealer. I really wonder what would have happened if it was a total blank on the river. Was this too greedy with the straight here? You guys can let me know. It would have been nice to get a double up, but turning something out of nothing, a good start to climbing out of the hole that we're in. Let's keep it going. We try to get involved, but nothing significant happens for like an hour. The most that happens, we get involved with the same guy as the last hand. We hit top pair on the flop, him second pair, and take down a small one. But other than that, nada. But this one we're gonna go over. We're in early position. We have ace-king offsuit. We open things up to $15. It folds to the cutoff, who 3-bets to 65. It folds back around to us, and I look at her stack, and she has a little over 400 in it, maybe 400 even. So we kind of just want to get it in now. So we 4-bet and make it half her stack to 2 black chips. She basically snap calls, which was odd. You think if she was going $200, then she just put the rest of it in now anyway. So kind of like the hand where we rivered a straight, no matter what the flop is going to be, we're kind of forced to jam 200, half pot size. Because we are out of position, we're first to act, so what are we really going to do? Check? I mean, there's really no other option besides go all in. Maybe that's the wrong way to think about things, but that's what's in my head at the moment. So onto a flop, and it comes 10 high with 2 hearts. A bad flop, but even if she did have pocket jacks or pocket queens, it's basically the same thing going all in pre-flop.
All in.
The board comes out, we don't improve, and it's even worse. Everything gets there. It's so connected. We do have the same hand though, ace-king, but she has 5 hearts for a flush. She beats us. Ace-king versus ace-king, basically all in pre-flop, and we lose. She only had $226 left in her stack. Should have just been a slam dunk all in pre-flop for her, but results still the same. She jams pre-flop, we call, and lose anyway. Just a cooler. And right when we fought back too, only being 100 down in the hole going into this hand, and drops us right back down again. The clock is definitely not on our side on this one. Forget trying to hit the 10K now. All we're really trying to do is get back to even on this session. Speaking of 10K, we have pocket 10s in the small blind. There's a limp in the under the gun and a raise to $25 from the player in the cutoff. He was a newer player to the table, so don't know too much about him. So we just make the call for $25, and the limper does as well. And we're 3 ways out of position to a flop, hoping to spike a 10. But the flop comes queen, queen, 9 with 2 spades. We both check and flow to the cutoff, and he decides to check back. So now really liking our hand, especially when the turn comes, a 9 of diamonds. Now 2 flush draws on board, but now the board is double paired. It's just less likely they have anything, and now can get value from ace high. So we lead on this card, first to act, and bet out $35. The under the gun calls pretty quickly, which is a little concerning. If she had a queen, I think she'd think about it for a little bit longer. A 9 is definitely a possibility. So she calls, and the cutoff folds, so now we're heads up to a river, and it's a non-factor, it's a 6 of hearts. We check, maybe she wants to take a stab with ace high to avoid a chop, but she checks back right away. I'm expecting to be good, but she flips over king 9 suited for 9's full. A 3 bet probably gets that hand out pre-flop, but if she did call, we lose even more. So hard to say which one would have been better result. I'm just trying to convince myself we lost the minimum. This is the last hand. I even told myself the last hand because of our flight. The whole time I'm thinking, come on, either aces, kings, or like 8-3 offsuit, just so it's an easy decision. I'd hate to get involved in a big pot, get stacked, and leave on the worst note ever, just a bad taste in your mouth. We're in the under the gun, and we look down at probably the worst hand when it comes to wanting to be an easy decision, pocket jacks. I really think about folding, but I can't do that. It's the 4th best starting hand in poker, so we forget about the whole last hand, bad vibes, and we just play it out like normal. We open things up to $15. The guy to our left cold calls 15, folds to the button. The player who we rivered to straight against, he 3 bets to $60. The blinds fold, and what can we really do? 4 bet? Because if he happens to rip it, we're forced to fold. And if he calls, we're just in no man's land with pocket jacks out of position. So let's just call and hope to catch and get our double up that we should have gotten the first time. That's the plan anyway. We do call, and the under the gun 1 calls as well. We're 3 ways to a flop, and it comes jack, no, it's ace 9, 7, 2 spades. Of course it's an ace high board. We check and float the under the gun 1, he checks as well. The button throws out a C bet for $50. A serious down bet, less than a 3rd pot. In my head, if he had an ace, I think he'd want to make it more because of the draws available, and we have blockers to those draws, and we have a spade to fall back on. So any 8 or 10 gives us a straight draw, which we can represent, and a jack for sure would give us the winner. So we have potential. We make the call for $50, seeing what happens. The under the gun 1 folds. We're now heads up to a turn, and it comes a queen of diamonds. One of those cards that doesn't help us, and it's an overcard to our pair. We check and flow again to him, see if he wants to keep on firing, but he slows down and checks back, so maybe he doesn't have an ace. The river comes, a 10 of spades. I doubt 3rd pair is going to win at showdown. We have blockers to good hands, straights, and flushes, so I think the only way to win is to bet, but how much? There's $280 in the middle. So we throw out an amount that looks like please call, less than a half pot, $115. If he has 1 pair, which I think he has at best, this is just annoying sizing. So many things now beat 1 pair on the river, so don't have to risk too much to get it through. And we don't even have to sweat because he snap folds. We show our hand. I think I was only trying to show 1 card, but they kind of just flipped over when I threw them down. But we were leaving anyway, so I didn't care. But that is it for this session, guys. We battled back. We didn't recover all of it, but glad to get that last one through, leaving on a win. Stay tuned for the outro, our signature end of the trip airport outro, going over the results of the entire trip and this week's 10K challenge.
What's up, everybody? I think it's just a little tradition that we're gonna do after every Vegas trip, do the outro at the airport. I'd rather be early to the airport than be late rushing through security and possibly miss the flight. And I have time to do this outro, you know, so it's a win-win. And that's just how it's always gone down. So I don't know, we're gonna keep it that way for now, but we'll see. But yeah, this session, Ace King was definitely not our friend. Ace King versus Aces on a King High board, just whatever. And then Ace King versus Ace King on the SPR on that was just so small. It should have been a slam dunk 4-bet jam by her, but whatever. We were gonna jam any flop, and we did, and we lost against a flush. But I've been on the other end of it too. Aces versus Aces. I think you guys saw that vlog. So I'm not complaining about it. It was only $400 and some. But we fought back towards the end. The Jack's hand. I mean, didn't really play that well. I just, checked and then bet at the end. And I don't know. I just didn't even play it well, but I just won. But yeah, the numbers. 1,500 in for 1,500, out for 1128. So a little bit of L on the day, and overall on the trip, I'll probably just throw up the numbers somewhere now, just so you guys can see, check out. But not a bad week here in Vegas. I mean, a little bit of an L. I'm not hitting that 10K challenge, but I mean, I'm definitely not complaining whatsoever with a $3,000 win, $3,200, something like that. I mean, again, I don't even have the numbers. I'll do them later when I get home. But yeah, over $3,000 winning in a week. I will take that all day, every day. But we will get that 10K challenge soon. I don't know how soon, but we're gonna get it. I mean, it's always good to have a specific goal. I mean, even if you don't hit your goals, it's always good to have something specific to strive for. Progression towards those goals. Like I tell clients all the time, they come to me, they're like, hey, I want to lose weight. I'm like, well, how much? And then they're like, well, I was 100 and some pounds a couple of years ago, so I want to get back to that. I'm like, all right, well, you're this amount now. And just do the math, that's 40 pounds, whatever. And I'm like, all right, that's the goal, 40 pounds. And let's strive for that. I mean, you might do good some weeks, bad the other weeks, but progression towards those goals, that's always good. Striving to be your best no matter what you do. What else have I got? Yeah, that's all I really got. I mean, I'm super tired. I think we played 35 hours on this trip in a week. It's almost like a full-time job, even though I have my day job, so I am going back to that. And that's all I got. I mean, I'm still kind of rambling because I haven't got much sleep the last week, so a lot of numbers going through my head, and my eyeballs kind of hurt, so I definitely want to close them when I get on this plane. But if you guys saw this, that means we survived the trip, so that's a good double thumbs up for that. And yeah, good luck at your local tables. Good luck in life. Always strive for your goals. Remember that. Keep pushing through no matter what they are. Never give up. I always say that. Never give up. But yeah, have a good day, night, morning, whatever. Whenever you're seeing this, comment down below. What are we commenting? Gains. How about that? Just gains. Just because trying to get that name out there. Because we actually did a really good job at that this trip, because a lot of people either knew who I was or we were super cool with, and they were like really supportive of the channel. I was like, hey, I do this is my name. They're like, oh hell yeah, I'll support. So that's awesome. So winning both, double, and we're going to continue to strive. I have a lot of numbers in mind when it comes to subscribers, views, all that stuff, so really trying to push for that. And yeah, I can go on and on because again, we have about 45 minutes till our flight, so I can go on and on, but I don't want to make this too long. I know this vlog was super short. There's not that many hands, 7 or 8 hands tops, but yeah, I'm not trying to stall time, I promise. But yeah, always remember, I'm Matty Ice. This is Gains Poker. Peace out.